podcast conversation. It's always an interesting day whenever we have blockchain mastery because we get to dig deep into the world of blockchain. Now, the financial world is in the midst of a profound transformation, and at the heart of this transformation is blockchain tech. Tokenization is considered the process of converting the rights of an asset into a digital token on a blockchain. Now, it's a concept that has the potential to sort of reshape traditional finance. It makes assets more accessible, liquid, and more efficient than ever. And it's just worth talking about a lot more than it has been in recent times. Joining us today, we have Victoria Abiodun. Now, she's going to be our guide as we navigate the exciting terrain of asset tokenization from real estate to IP or intellectual property and beyond. That is what we're here to talk about today. And I'm going to be introducing her in just a second. But let me just give you a little insight. You've probably been wondering why we've been offline for quite a while. It's because we've been working on another project, and it's been called Women's Wealth. So, Women's Wealth on TV, I have the QR code right there on your screen right now. It's all about exploring investment strategies, personal finance tips, stories from real women just like you or someone you know, your sister, your aunt, your friend who haven't exactly taken control of their financial futures. And having women be more in control of their financial future is extremely important at this point. If you scan the QR code on your screen right now, it'll direct you to our YouTube channel and you can watch some of our past episodes. We release a new episode every single week, and it has been extremely helpful. All the feedback from the show so far has been positive, and we hope that you get to watch it and enjoy it too. All right, then, back to the show we're here for now. It's Blockchain Mastery Podcast, and we're talking tokenization of assets. Victoria Abiodun is a blockchain writer. She's an educator. She has years of experience writing blockchain educational articles, press releases, and infomercials. And she currently works as PR and marketing manager at Match Chain. She's also worked extensively with different individuals and organizations across the globe, talking about Sportrex, Token Minds, CryptoZen, Easy Blockchain, Cointelegraph, CoinSpeaker, and many others. And she's really passionate about simplifying the most difficult concepts because she says that she believes that for blockchain to gain mainstream adoption, there has to be a shift from the technical jargon that permeates the space to more simplified and reliable content. It's great to have you here, Victoria. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's really an honor to be here. And I really love what you're doing. And it's really amazing. Thank you so
Thank-
much.
No, thank you for taking our time in your busy schedule to talk to us today. As a blockchain writer, you are in the space. You need to let us in on your background and how your passion for this groundbreaking field began.
So I'm going to try not to take too much time. I think I always share with people about the fact that I actually started from a non-technical background, and I had no interest in tech at all, apart from maybe operating my laptop and using my phone. But around my sister's school abroad, and it's not like I came from too much money, obviously. So there was this times where sending money abroad was just ridiculous, the charges and stuff like that. And we're just having a random conversation in class, and somebody made mention of Bitcoin. I remember I laughed because I used to actually believe that why would anyone want a digital currency if you're not a fraudster? And I think it just piqued my interest, the conversation, and I started reading. So I used to want to write to basically explain stuff to other people because it has always been a good way for me to learn almost anything. And that was it for me. Like post uni, I was like, okay, I think I really enjoy doing this thing. I think I want to take it more seriously. And that was it. So the more I got to like want to write stuff, the more I saw myself learning so fast. That was the beginning of it all, and it's been amazing.
I love to hear stories like this because they're real life stories where people had a challenge and they tried to find a solution to a challenge and they found it here in this particular space. You found it in this space, and I guess you've been able to make key transactions a lot smoother, a lot easier because of blockchain. Am I right?
Yes, definitely. Lots more like amazing stuff. Because even right now with the whole barrier on dollars, the cards, and a lot of issues, like people who earn in like crypto don't really have to go through the whole stress of convert, and like to convert your crypto to naira is not as challenging. So yeah, it's been really good for even cross-border transactions.
Mm. We're here to talk tokenization. Now, when I first heard the term tokens, it was whenever there was is it an ICO? An ICO offering, that's an initial coin offering being offered, or there was something called an airdrop um, happening, where people were, and then there was also something called oh goodness me, I'm trying to remember now, where they used to burn tokens, right? Do you remember how we used to do that back in the day? It was really interesting to see how it's evolved. But tokenization of an asset now still feels a little bit outside the box, because when you think tokens, you think about something that you can exchange value for. But I want you to break it down as simply as possible.
Okay, so when you talk about tokenization of assets, because right now when you look at the market, especially when it comes to, because I want to make sure I don't use a lot of terms, I'm just going to like make a lot of examples. When you look at maybe real estate, let me use real estate for example. A lot of times people, or even like people with big money who buy into the market, they are trying to maybe raise funds. They tell you, oh, selling the property they bought is like a whole pain, and they can't even find a way to sell it out. But property is not something you tell someone, oh, come and take share in my property. Come and take this. And that's something that the same thing with in terms of investment. A young person, for example, in Nigeria cannot just stand up, except you're earning a lot of money, and say, oh, I want to buy a house. And you can't say, I want to own shares in a house. And so many of those things that used to be the complex things in terms of illiquid market, especially tokenization really changes the narrative completely. Because what tokenization does is it allows you to be able to divide properties that naturally you cannot do into portions that people can now take interest in. For example, now maybe when I want to buy the house I live in, for example, I bought it, and when the asset was transferred to me, it was transferred to me as, let's say, 300,000 tokens. And the 300,000 tokens, each representing $1. And at the time, that means I bought it for $300,000. Now I need to raise money. It's very easy for me to now, I don't even need to maybe sell the house. Maybe what I really need to raise is, let's say, $70,000. I may not have to look for 200 people to come, and or I don't have to look for one buyer to buy my whole house now, because that was what you would have had to do. And even sometimes you would have had to see people sell off the house at ridiculous prices because they really need the money. But now, when you like tokenization of assets changes this narrative. Now you can actually people can buy into your property and and earn profit from that property. You can the we talk the you talked about in terms of crowdfunding. But you
Mm,
can do something like that even with your traditional assets. Now, a
mm,
random person can say, oh, okay, you know that, okay, I have 300,000 tokens of this property. When I bought it, it was like $1. Now, like your property is like maybe the tokens are like 1.25 or even $1.5. Now, you can say, okay, I only need, you can calculate the number of people that can uh, invest in your property, and you can transfer these tokens to them. And that is something tokenization does. So it's not even limited to houses. I think instead of using terms to explain it, I really hope this kind of makes it clear, because
mm,
tokenization of property allows even beyond being able to sell your property, it also lowers the entry barriers for markets that are
mm,
really high in terms of net worth. Now, even without having, let's say, $300,000, I can also own a property in a maybe a high rise somewhere, and it may just be 1%, it may be 2%, but it allows you to also be able to invest and lowers the barrier for so many other people. The same way, it helps to bring liquidity into a liquid market.
I actually want to touch on that term liquidity that you just used, because people, to connect tokenization with actual finance, people have to sort of relate it to a market that is liquid for them. So we've talked about real estate now. Let's say Mr. A has a house and he has 12 brothers, right? And each of those brothers believe they own a portion of that property. How can tokenization help in this situation?
Okay, in that case, for example, okay, we know that most times when you see people dividing houses or even dividing property, you hear that, oh, they'll say this person owns, let's say, maybe 2 rooms, this one owns 10 rooms. That same percentage, they can use it in sharing the tokens if the asset is actually properly tokenized. That way, even me that I own maybe 3 rooms, I have maybe, let's say, 10,000 tokens or 20,000 tokens to represent my own ownership in that house. I could also still sell shares of my own house. In fact, because in that case now, because smart contracts is involved, that means somebody cannot come tomorrow and say, oh no, when we divided it, it was only maybe three you owned. 3 room is not worth this. Everything is transparent. The prices, the transferring, it brings not just word of mouth. It goes beyond paper agreement that can even be reversed. This is something that everybody that's agreed to it can see how it is done. And that's one of the most beautiful parts of smart contracts, because beyond human reliance, you can see a system that is not reliant on me changing my mind tomorrow, you trying to
Okay.
take back your word. It is as transparent. And even in cases like that, it brings trust and also stability, because whatever you guys are agreeing on, you are putting it into code and it is being executed. And each person can see what they own and can do whatever they want with it. So I think
Okay.
even in
So let's
cases
take
like that
it.
is more
So
relevant.
let's take it from this other angle now. So this same property, right? We don't know how many rooms are in this house, but we know that there are 12 brothers, right? And they equally
Okay.
right? It's
I,
no
I
longer about
lost
how
you a
many
bit.
rooms. It's no longer about how many rooms
I
anymore.
lost you a bit, actually.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, clearly.
So what I was saying is, let's say they sell the property to a telecommunications or a bank, um, and they earn a lot of millions for that. So it's no longer about how many rooms are in the house. It's about the entire value of the property, right?
Correct.
So how does the rent that the okay, let's say they're giving a long lease, how does the renewal of the payments continue to be divided amongst the 12 brothers?
Okay, so
How
I
does
think
that?
that's the, yes, like so I think that's the most beautiful thing, like I said about smart contracts. You see the same thing even happening with artwork. When you see an artwork, for example, being tokenized, when you are writing, when the you are setting the price or you are minting it, you'll notice that you can even add the royalty. That every single time this artwork is sold, it doesn't matter if it's going to, it's this is the 10th owner. You as the owner want to always get the 10%. Because that's why I said this is not something you are saying with your mouth. This is something that has been written into the code. This is how this should execute. When this happens, this is how it should be done. If everything is properly documented and written into the code, because it's not, oh, this is what we will do, this is how it should be done. At the end of the day, tokenization is done on blockchain. And to do that, everything on blockchain is executed through smart contracts. So, whatever you want the operation to be, how you want it to work, everything works as imputed into the code. So, when it
So
is being, okay,
distributed, yeah, when it's being distributed, I guess you are encoding instructions into how it's being
how
executed.
everything will be executed.
Okay, fantastic. Now, we've talked on property quite a bit already, but you also mentioned art.
Yes.
And, in an African context, I don't know if we've really put as much value on our artwork as they do abroad, because we have some beautiful art here in Africa, and it just doesn't feel like they're being taken care of as well as they should be.
I actually think when it comes to even Africa, the narrative is changing because when
Okay.
you look at the NFT market, for example, at the peak of NFT, especially last year, we had a whole lot of young people that what they do full time is photography. What they do full time is create artwork that they sell as NFTs. And like we have young people like who are going to have deep appreciation for the art. I think even like even the couple like past NFC NYC, we had quite a number of even Nigerian artists have their work displayed. So I think there's like it's just the more people are coming into the appreciation of digital technology itself. There's also appreciation for ownership because beyond even buying or selling artwork, look how NFT brings is also the ability to authenticate your work before NFTs, because a lot of times people even raise stuff like, oh, why will I spend so much money to buy work I can screenshot? And naturally, before NFTs came into the picture, if you design something as a digital artist, what's even the proof that you designed it? But when people design now, they can mint their work and people they can now sell the work. People mostly don't have appreciation because there is even if you are not the named artist, the same thing they have, someone else can screenshot it and draw it, and that's it. Nobody is to say who owns the original, who owns the fake. Because when people appreciate artwork, what they appreciate is the hard work behind the artist behind the work. Whether you are a named artist or not, there's appreciation for the time they've put into it, the effort and the beauty that came out of their efforts.
Mm,
But now, if there's no structure that actually authenticates the authenticity of my work, why will I want to spend millions to buy it? But now, what NFT brings, even for especially for even both physical and digital artists, is the fact that anyone can replicate the work, but you own the original.
mm,
I can get a very fine artist right now to maybe draw the Mona Lisa. I like using that example because I love the art. And they keep it in my house. I may say, oh my God, this is so perfect. But it doesn't have a market value because it's not the original. And that is the same thing NFTs tokenization brings for artists, both digital and physical. So it gives people the value for the art itself. And that way, it even improves what's it called appreciation for art and even
mm.
being able to invest in it. Because if that person becomes a big shot, oh, this is the artwork, this is even the authentication for the work. I'm holding the original. So it does a whole lot, in my own opinion.
I'm wondering about this issue of SMEs and startups and small businesses. How does tokenization actually help them? Now, financing, for instance, everybody wants to figure out how to make money from new innovations and new technology. So, this issue of tokenization now, how does the average person watching right now who's heard about tokenization, maybe for the first time, how can they sort of unlock uh, financial wealth or growth for their business from tokenization?
Okay, so one thing I believe is every single innovation, I always say that the most important thing is first understanding the innovation. When you understand it, you can think outside the box that how does this apply to my business? I was talking to the lady that makes my nails, and she has the most beautiful designs. And I told her, I said, each of this your work, you can actually mint it as NFTs. And even if you don't want to mint as NFTs, you could like each of your clients, like clients that are very consistent, create NFTs. Like it doesn't even have to be printed card, anything. Create NFTs, and any of your clients that hold your NFTs, maybe they don't have to book every time they need your service, you're available anytime you can create value systems that would want people to invest into your own tokens. It could be that, oh, if you maybe um have maybe an NFT from my business, or maybe you have a coin, or you like maybe a token, anything like that. Oh, if you owed any of this, you can have access to maybe 5% discounts every time you want to use our service. There are so many things, and each business has a unique model. When you understand the concept in itself, like we're explaining now, you can all sit and think that, okay, this is my business. What value can I offer people in exchange for holding either my token, maybe my NFTs, or there's so many aspects. And like I said, for an artist, for example, you know that you could even be a writer. It could be that every time someone buys your book, or maybe every time someone tries to resell your book, you have a royalty on it because you maintained it, uh, what's it called, digitally on blockchain. So every time
Mm,
you resell, there's a resell value that comes back to you. That's why you see some artworks every time. I'm just using artwork. It goes to music. It goes to almost anything. Even goes down to, it could be a house. If you put in the smart contract that every time this thing goes to someone else, I get 3%, I get 10%. Even when it comes to, it's like
mm.
100 years after, it will still keep rolling that way. So
So
I
now
feel
the
like, okay.
yeah, so I feel like the question now is, in Nigeria, or even let's just say West Africa, how long do you think it's going to take for us to fully adopt this? Because it sounds great, it sounds moving. In fact, the fact that there's a solution for a lot of back and forth and a lot of conflict, especially financial dilemmas that a lot of people are having, putting money into a business or making money from an asset that they've had probably for so long and they've never made money from. Through tokenization, that is possible. But having it adopted and appreciated in Africa, how long do you think that's going to take?
Okay, so I made a video recently and I spoke about how in 1995, there, like, Bill Gates was trying so hard to explain what the internet is. And the laughter from the audience was almost unstoppable because the interviewer couldn't even understand the concept of what the internet was. Is it a radio? Is it a It was saying all sorts. And the video is so hilarious. But now, almost like 30 years or how many years down the line, the idea of someone not understanding what the internet is almost like you're like, what are they using? So I feel like when it comes to blockchain, it's the same thing. We are early in, we are very early, and we are just fortunate to be at this point where the industry is taking shape. There are some concepts we stand on now that even in few years time, everybody just knows blockchain the way everybody knows what the internet is. So we'll just say that in future, definitely. But a lot of time we used to say, "Oh, this is the future." It sounds like cliche, but you know it because the reforms it's bringing, you know that there are so many fine tuning that needs to work out for us to get to that point. But I can't say that, oh, at this time Africa will like adopt it. But I'm just saying that we are early in, but when someone keys into it early, you can definitely start enjoying from the beginning. But definitely it's only a matter of time, and we are just still early in, and at some point it's going to get mainstream. And I always say that when blockchain will gain mainstream adoption is when we go from a shift from like the technology itself to when an ordinary person will use blockchain innovations without knowing they are using blockchain.
Mm,
That's when
mm,
we are going to fully get to that point. And to get to that point, that's the job of someone like me, someone like you, who are innovators in the space, who people who are building stuff. Because I tell people, an average market woman right now does not know what they build OPay with. But if you tell them, I sent you the money with OPay, they'll say, it will deliver. They can even ask you to go without seeing it.
mm.
Not because
Because
they don't care, they don't know the tech behind it,
yeah,
but it solves a problem. An
yeah.
average person out there, even non-market women, highly educated people, don't know what technology WhatsApp, Instagram is built with, but it solves a problem for them. So once we keep evolving in the industry, we will move from selling the technology itself to building innovations that sell solution. I think at that point, that's when we can really get to mainstream adoption.
I have to say a big thank you to you for talking to us about this. There's still quite a few questions we need to discuss, especially with regards um, DeFi and as an actual decentralized finance process. I would love to talk about that, but we are far spent on time. There's even the discussion on energy consumption as well, and whether the fact that we have energy limitations here in Africa is a big deal for tokenization. The fact that the average person is still figuring out how to use an average application on their phone, talk less of now figuring out how to tokenize something. We're still a way away from that, but I will definitely be hoping you can join us again right here on Blockchain Mastery Podcast.
Definitely, I'll really be happy to do that and have these conversations with you.
All right then. It's amazing to have had you on air with us, Victoria Abiodun here. She is a blockchain writer and so much more than that. And she's been in the space for quite a while. And as an educator, she has experience in writing blockchain educational articles, press releases, and infomercials. And presently, she works as PR and marketing manager at Match Chain. It's been a pleasure having you. See you later.
Okay, bye.
And there you have it. Hmm. Has that given you something to think about? Hopefully, yes, because it's given me quite a lot to think about as well. We need to start doing things differently because the whole world of blockchain is it is moving. I know that we might not be so sure about the direction as at right now, but I can tell you it is moving. There are so many platforms that are embracing blockchain technology. And tokenization is one of those conversations that started way back and is gaining ground right now. There's loads of data out there on this, there's loads of information online about it as well. If you have any questions, contributions, you can always use our comment section or you can use the hashtag Blockchain Mastery Podcast while you send in your tweets. All right, then. Now, if you would like to join the conversation on the Blockchain Mastery Podcast, or you send us an email and we will get back. Dynamite Podcast Network at gmail.com. Network at gmail.com, and we will get back to you. We'll be booking a conversation with you soon enough. All right. Thank you so much for joining us once again on Blockchain Mastery Podcast. Until next time, stay blessed.